Alright, hello out there. This is DayTraderRockStar, and I am here today to give you a little educational video on how to trade a channel breakout, a channel trade. Here we have a good example of a downward sloping channel. A channel is basically two parallel lines where the price is trading in between them, and you can actually just see how they're equally spaced. They're not really a wedge pattern. It's just a channel where it's equally spaced from the beginning of the channel all the way down to the end of the channel. And it's basically just have to go around, do your scans, find out how to recognize these by visual sight and stuff, and then once you find them, this is what I usually do. A lot of the annotations and the notes here from my watch list that I put out each week. So it kind of keeps me informed of why I'm getting into a trade, and each week I add to it and why and where we're going from that. So again, you see the channel trade. After about 3 times hitting the downward trend line here, I start to look for a reversal. And so basically, just to cut things short here, you need a couple lines to make the trend line, and as the trend line moves down, each time it comes up and hits that trend line, that pattern becomes stronger. So here you can see this the lower end of the channel here. We keep on hitting that as support, bouncing up, came back, hit it as support, bounced up, went up to the upper trend line, bounced back, came almost down all the way, but bounced back up. It's still trading within this channel, came right back down to the trend line because that's extended because you already had 2 points. Bounced right up perfect to the downward trend line, which was already formed because you had 2 prior points, and that made it the 3rd time. Then we came down again and bounced, and this is actually where I got in my first trade right down here. I noticed it, and what I do is I time this. I use a 5 indicator system, or I use my stochastics to line up with each time we have a support trade. So when the stochastics become oversold here, I'll look for an area of support, being a trend line or a moving average. So you can see here, as the stochastics get real low, you can see the market's actually on that trend line, and we do get that bounce. We come up here, stochastics get overbought, we're up against the trend line. I mean, just like you hear on TV, channel trade, become a millionaire, but that's all BS. So basically, there's a lot more going on here. But in this case, if you have the right indicators, you can line these things up, and then when you take your position down here, again, stochastics in an oversold position, you're back on the trend line. You step up to the plate when you start to see some strength, and you take that trade. Now, taking profits is a whole different game. I ended up taking profits here into the 50-period moving average just because it was a good gain, and I wanted to get out right on the 50 and take profits into strength. But it actually went right back up to this trend line. And I kept it on my watch list because I want to make sure if it goes back up to that trend line, now we're going to get to a whole new trade. It's how to trade a breakout of a trend line or a channel trade here. So I knew we were getting close to a breakout just because we've been in this pattern a while. And usually when you get a breakout of a channel trade, you usually get a pullback, one final pullback off the downward sloping trend line here, back about a 38% to 50% retracement on the Fibonacci's. Now, I always watch the 20-period moving average. That's one of my key indicators, is the 20-period moving average. And actually, you could see here, if I bring up the Fibonacci's and the Fibonacci retracement from the last move up here, you can't really tell, but this line right here is the 38% retracement, and it actually pulls right back to that area right here, right where that with the 20-period moving averages. So it was a perfect entry there, and we took that entry again, and we rode it up, and it broke out and took profits into the breakout. Now, once a channel is broken out of, you always want to watch for a retracement. And again, people always say, do I buy on the breakout, or do I would say no, because half the move's already over then. You want to take these areas that it's being given to you. The bottom part of a channel, a pullback to the 20-period moving average. Again, a pullback to what your second entry be. It was an up. Let me just fix this one thing right here. A pullback to the upper trend line, top of the upper trend line here. So if you extend that trend line, even though we got a break out of it, you should always get a retest back, and to get that retest back on top of that trend line and the 20-period and 50-period moving average coming right under you is excellent area there for an entry. So again, this one took off, pulled back again to the 20. It's been holding the 20, and it's actually a beautiful trade. One last thing on a channel trade. How do you predict where it's going to go? Well, prediction's a tough word, so I like to use a target. I usually like to look at targets where I want to have a game plan, where I want to get out of my trade. Most patterns, chart patterns and technical setups have what's called measured moves, and they're little formulas that you could get an idea of how far that move out of a pattern is going to move. It's called a measured move. So in a case with a channel trade, it's basically a simple formula of taking the distance of the channel and extending it to where the breakout is. So so we move this the width of the channel here. I took it by just making it green, and then I take that same length and I actually just put it over here to where that where that breakout is of that channel, and we're just going to call it right there. And actually, though we came back, I still think that channel was still in there, and we actually are starting to move up. And that actually brings me up to around that $30 area, but I moved it down, my target down to 29, because I don't want to be too greedy there. I want to be able to get out into strength. So actually, we're still actually underneath that by 2 points. Still actually actively in this trade right now. But I just wanted to bring you up on how to see these setups. These are great setups to trade. Channel trades, downward sloping channels. Usually you want to break to the upside. Upward sloping channels, you watch for a break to the downside. Now, just something extra special for you guys out there. Here is the S&P 500 as of Friday, or today, Friday, the right before Easter, April 10th here. And believe it or not, you can see a channel trade starting to form here in the S&P. So this is an old trend line which we broke out of. I just wanted to show you this one. This one went all the way back here, and it was just a nice little wedge pattern here. And we broke out to the wedge pattern. We actually came back here and retested. I just want to show you how important it is to enter on that retest of that upward channel line and the moving average. So whenever you have those two setups, you break out of a trend line. Here's your trend line right here. A break out of that trend line, and then a fast little pullback to the upper end of that trend line, the upside of it, and plus the 20-period moving average coming underneath us right there. So that's a great entry if you happen to miss the beginning of the trade here. Again, I'm going to do a whole video on fall and wedge patterns, but these are excellent patterns to look for. But now I'm just going to get rid of that this one right here, because there's actually a nice little channel trade here, and this is let's make it a little darker so you can see it. And we're going to zoom out here. Oh, actually, that's I got the wrong one there. Excuse me. Here we go. This line right here. Make that a little darker. And then this line right here. A little darker. And you can see this pattern starting to form. You hit the top end, came down to hit the top end again, came down. So we actually hit this one once, twice, 2 times on the top, 2 times on the bottom, and we just hit it on the 3rd time, and we actually see the same situation. We had a little pullback right when we hit it, about not quite a 38.2 retracement, but we came back above that 20, and we're starting to get that breakout here. Now this is a major index, the S&P 500, so we're going to see what happens here. But just another good channel trade, and then we're starting to break out. Stochastics look okay. We have the overhead 200-period moving average. This one has some good momentum, but again, watch for a little consolidation or a pullback here to that 20-period moving average eventually, and that would be your next entry. So, hope you enjoyed the channel trade. And this is DayTraderRockStar from DayTradingRadio.com. I'm on the air every day, showing these setups live on the radio for free. So definitely come by and watch the markets and hear the broadcast. DayTradingRadio.com.